Hello, and welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here, and I truly appreciate you listening today. If you enjoy the stories, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more. Viewer discretion is advised. Now, let's settle in and enjoy today's stories. It started with a message. I wasn't sure how it got to me. An email that didn't show up in my inbox, but appeared as a draft in my email client. It was from a blank address, no sender, no subject. At first, I thought it was spam, but curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on it. The email contained a single line of text. "Do you want to play?" Beneath the text was a link, blue and underlined. I hovered over it, but it didn't show a URL, just gibberish. I should have deleted it, but something about the message gripped me. It wasn't threatening. If anything, it felt almost playful. I clicked the link. The screen went black for a moment, and then a website loaded, a simple black page with white text in the middle. "Welcome to the chain." Underneath, a counter ticked down, 005957. A chat box appeared, and words started typing themselves out in real time. "You have 1 hour to pass it on. Failure is not an option." I stared at the screen, confused. Pass what on? There were no instructions, no clues. Then a new message popped up. This one was different, personalized. "We see you, my full name. Your clock is ticking." At first, I thought it was a prank. A hacker maybe, or some over-engineered viral marketing stunt. I closed the browser and shut my laptop, but the countdown didn't stop. It appeared on my phone next, flashing across my lock screen. 005742. The messages followed. "Do not ignore the chain. Pass it on or pay the price." I unlocked my phone and tried deleting the notifications, but they kept reappearing. The timer wouldn't stop. Then, my laptop powered on by itself, the screen flickering to life. The chain's message stared back at me, accompanied by a new line of text. "Send it to 5 people, or we'll come for you." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. This had to be a joke. But then my phone vibrated again, and I saw something that made my blood run cold. A photo of me sitting at my desk, taken from behind. The camera angle was impossible. There was no one else in the room. Whether it was paranoia or the sinister weight of the messages, I didn't want to find out what pay the price meant. I opened the link again and stared at the instructions. "Send the chain to 5 people. Do not explain. Do not warn them. The timer resets with every recipient." The first person that came to mind was my co-worker, Jamie. He was a tech-savvy guy who'd probably figure out it was a scam in 5 minutes. I pasted the link into an email and hit send. As soon as I did, the timer reset. 01000. A wave of relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. My phone buzzed again. Another message. "1 is not enough. 4 to go." I sent the link to 4 more people, an old college acquaintance, an ex I hadn't spoken to in years, and 2 strangers whose email addresses I pulled from random mailing lists. As soon as I hit send on the last email, the chain replied, "You are safe, for now." The countdown disappeared, and the screen went black. I thought it was over. I was wrong. The next day, Jamie didn't show up for work. At first, I didn't think much of it. People called in sick all the time. But when I checked my email, I saw a message from him, time-stamped at 3:47 a.m. "What the hell is this?" I clicked on it. Attached was a screenshot of the chain's website, the same timer ticking down, the same ominous messages. Below it, Jamie had written, "Is this some kind of joke? Call me." I called him immediately, but the line went straight to voicemail. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I told myself it was just a coincidence, but then I got another notification from the chain. One has fallen. The chain grows stronger. I felt sick. Jamie's timer must have run out. But what did that mean? I didn't have long to dwell on it. The chain sent another message, more direct this time. Your timer begins again in 24 hours. Pass it on or suffer. That night, the nightmares started. I dreamed of faceless figures standing in a circle, their hands clasped, their heads tilted back as if in prayer. A deep, guttural voice chanted in a language I couldn't understand. In the center of the circle was the chain's timer, glowing red and pulsating with every tick. When I woke up, the feeling of dread lingered. My apartment felt off, too quiet, the shadows too deep. I checked every corner, every closet, but nothing seemed out of place. Then I noticed my laptop. It had turned itself on again, the chain's message waiting for me. Pass it on. I hesitated. The people I'd sent it to before were strangers or casual acquaintances. I didn't want to involve anyone close to me, but the timer had already started ticking. The consequences of breaking the chain loomed heavy over me. As I stared at the screen, something moved in my peripheral vision. A shadow flickered across the wall, but when I turned, there was nothing there. The hum of static filled the air, faint but unmistakable. I knew I didn't have a choice. I sent the link again, this time to people I barely knew, random contacts from my spam folder, but the chain wasn't satisfied. The timer reset, but the messages became more insistent, more personal. You cannot escape us. The chain must grow. The shadows grew bolder too. I started seeing them more often, flickering in my hallway, lingering at the edge of my vision. They weren't just shadows anymore. They had form, substance. I could hear them whispering when the lights were out. I realized then that the chain wasn't just a game or a virus. It was a feeding ground. Every person I dragged into it, every link I added, made it stronger. And the more it grew, the closer it came to me. I don't know how many people I've sent the chain to now. Dozens? Hundreds? It doesn't matter. It never ends. The timer always resets, and the shadows always return. The chain keeps growing, devouring everyone in its path. I've tried breaking it. I've disconnected my devices, thrown my laptop out the window, even moved across the country. But it doesn't matter. The chain finds me. It always finds me. The shadows are here now, watching me as I type this. I can feel their breath on my neck, their whispers in my ears. The timer is almost out, and this time, I don't think I'll make it. If you've read this far, I'm sorry. I had to pass it on. The chain is in your hands now. Do what you must. The timer starts now. 0, 0, 0. I was never much of a conspiracy theorist. I didn't believe in shadow governments or alien cover-ups. But if you spend enough time browsing obscure forums on the internet, you start to notice patterns, stories that repeat, whispers of something bigger beneath the surface. That's how I stumbled across The Signal. It was a niche topic, buried deep in the threads of paranormal and tech mystery boards. People claimed there was a radio frequency, an elusive station that didn't officially exist. It wasn't listed in any directories, and no one could pin down its origin. They called it Station 84. The posts were vague, almost cryptic. Some claimed it was an abandoned government project, a Cold War relic, accidentally left running. Others said it was an experiment gone wrong, a transmission meant to contact something out there. A few even believed it was alive, sentient in some way, that defied explanation. I didn't think much of it until I found the recording. It was hidden in a random thread, uploaded anonymously to a long-forgotten file-sharing site. The link was broken, but someone had reposted the file. The post warned, "Do not listen alone. Do not listen with headphones." Naturally, I ignored both warnings. The audio started innocently enough, static, faint at first, but growing louder. Then came the tone. It was a low, droning hum that vibrated through my headphones, making my teeth ache. After a few seconds, the static returned, punctuated by faint whispers just below the surface. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone of them chilled me. It wasn't anger or fear. It was anticipation. I hit pause, but the sound didn't stop. The hum lingered in my ears, a phantom vibration that refused to fade. I took off the headphones and closed the file, but even in the silence of my apartment, I could still feel it. That night, I dreamed of a dark room filled with flickering monitors. A figure stood in the corner, shrouded in shadow. Its head turned sharply toward me just before I woke up. By morning, I had convinced myself it was just a trick of the mind. Sound does weird things when you listen to it too long, and I was no stranger to auditory pareidolia. Still, the experience nagged at me, like a splinter lodged too deep to remove. I started researching in earnest. Most of the original posts about Station 84 had been deleted or locked, leaving behind only fragments of speculation. The one consistent detail was its frequency, 37.147 megahertz, a frequency that wasn't supposed to be in use. I borrowed a shortwave radio from a friend, claiming I was curious about amateur broadcasting. It was an older model, the kind with dials instead of digital tuning, but it worked well enough. I spent hours spinning the knob, chasing faint signals and bursts of static. At first, it was just noise, weather reports, garbled conversations, the occasional snatch of music. Then, late one night, I found it. The tone hit me first, that same low hum from the recording. It vibrated through the speakers, filling the room with a pressure that made my chest feel tight. Static crackled beneath it, and then came the whispers. This time, I could almost make out the words. They were faint, distorted, but unmistakable. "Come back, waiting, see." I leaned closer, twisting the dial slightly to sharpen the signal. The whispers grew louder, overlapping like voices in a crowded room. I felt a strange pull, a compulsion to keep listening. My fingers froze on the dial as a new sound emerged, a series of sharp clicks, almost like Morse code. Then the signal cut out entirely, just silence. A chill ran down my spine. I turned off the radio and sat in the dark, staring at the blank screen. I wanted to believe it was just interference, a random coincidence. But deep down, I knew better. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. My apartment felt wrong, like the angles were just slightly off. Shadows lingered too long in the corners, and the air seemed heavier, harder to breathe. The hum never fully left my ears. I tried to distract myself, burying my head in work and avoiding the radio, but the pull was too strong. By the third night, I found myself sitting in front of it again, tuning back to 37.147 megahertz. This time, the signal was clear. The hum was steady, rhythmic, almost soothing. The whispers were louder now, coherent but overlapping. They spoke of things I didn't understand, fragments of phrases about doors and keys, thresholds and awakenings. And then came the voice. It was deep and resonant, vibrating in a way that felt almost physical. "You have heard us. You are listening. We are coming." The words sent a shockwave through me, but I couldn't turn it off. My hands were glued to the table, my body frozen in place. The voice continued, speaking directly to me now. Do not look away. Do not stop. The light in my apartment flickered, and for a moment I thought I saw movement in the reflection of the radio's glass dial. A shape, tall, angular, and impossible to define, loomed behind me. When I turned around, there was nothing there. The dreams started again, but they were different this time. I was back in that dark room, surrounded by monitors. The figure was there, closer now, its features still obscured. On the screens, I saw images I couldn't comprehend. Endless corridors, spiraling tunnels, and a single door in the middle of a vast void. The whispers filled the air, louder and more urgent. Find the door. Open it. When I woke, the hum was back. Not from the radio, but from the walls themselves. It resonated through the entire apartment, subtle but inescapable. And then I saw it. A door that hadn't been there before. It was plain, unmarked, and impossibly out of place, standing where my closet should have been. My instincts screamed at me to run, to leave, and never look back. But the pull was stronger. I stepped closer, my hand reaching for the knob. The whispers grew deafening as I turned it. The door opened into darkness, but not the kind of darkness you find in an unlit room. This was absolute, a void that swallowed the light from my apartment. The hum became a roar, vibrating through my bones as I stepped through. The world on the other side was wrong. The air was thick and heavy, the sky a swirling mass of grey and black. The ground beneath my feet shifted like liquid, yet held me steady. Shapes moved in the distance, towering forms that defied logic, their edges blurring like static on a screen. And then I saw it, the source of the signal. A massive pulsating structure stood at the center of the landscape, its surface alive with writhing tendrils of light and shadow. It called to me, pulling me closer with every step. The whispers spoke again, not from the air, but from within me. You are the key. You are the door. I don't remember coming back. One moment, I was standing before the structure, the tendrils reaching for me. The next, I was in my apartment, the door gone, the radio silent. But I wasn't alone. The hum was still there, faint but constant, a reminder of what I had seen. And sometimes, when I closed my eyes, I felt the pull again, a compulsion to return, to finish what I had started. The whispers are growing louder. I know they'll come for me soon. I don't know if I'll fight or if I'll let them take me. But one thing is certain. The signal isn't just a transmission. It's a gateway, and it's open. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed what you've heard and want to hear more, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate your support.